Okay, welcome back. In this video we're going to do the next flight of the aircraft. In the previous video you saw me do the pre-flight, a little bit more extended in-depth pre-flight, but we're ready to go. So radio is set. I'm going to turn it on. Orange light is good. All the switches and everything are in place, and so we're going to plug this in. As you can see by the flag behind me, it's barely moving, which is good. Okay, that's good. I like to set it on the ground before I turn it on. I'm going to set it right here on the ground. Okay, I'm going to turn the aircraft on. Listen for the tones. Wiggle the wings. Okay, there's my 3 tones. So everything is set. Okay, so now I'm going to move the camera and taxi out and take off. Okay, I'm ready to taxi out. First thing I'm going to do is start my timer. Timer is started, set for 12 minutes, and start. Throttle is engaged, and I'm going to start taxiing out. I'm going to go out this way toward the end of the field a little bit. I always like to give myself plenty of room to take off, even though this thing takes off fairly quickly. And I am in beginner mode here, so I'm going to add power to 50%, let it start rolling, and we're airborne. Okay, I got a little far to the right there. That's because I was messing with the camera. We'll not do that the next time. So now note that that's the maximum turn radius of the airplane in beginner mode. I'm going to continue to do a turn and a circle down there. Okay, and with little to no wind, I'm at 45% power, and I'm going to do a full circle around so you can see from this side of the runway. Let me make sure we can see this. From this side of the runway around to that side of the runway. You're probably off camera. Hold on a minute. I'm going to descend so you can see it a little better. Get back into view here. Add some power. Okay. The slower you go, the quicker it turns. So my power is down to about 40% again. And you can see with the power back, you can do a fairly tight turn with 30 degrees of bank. Okay. I'm going to roll out steady here, fly toward the other end of the field in a relatively slow motion. Not get near the trees. Okay. So I'm going to fly down to this end of the runway. I hope the glare of the sun isn't going to bother the film here. We'll check it later. Okay. All right, I think, check something here. All right, because we've got virtually no wind, I'm going to land coming, I'll tell you what, I'm going to go in this direction again. And we're going to do a landing to the north. Right now we're facing west, heading south. And then we're going to come in and land. I'm going to pull the throttle back to idle here, start my turn. And come in and land. Okay, the wing was touched a little bit. Probably could have, there we go. All right, I'm going to put it in high rates and experience mode. The aircraft is in a rut out there or something. All right, I'm going to stop the camera a minute, go get it out of the rut. Be right back. Okay, it was a boggy, muddy spot out there with grass, and it just wouldn't come out of the mud. So we're ready to go again. I'm still in beginner mode. I'm still in low rates. Arm the throttle, and we're about to take off here. Sorry about the camera. Hard to fly and move a camera at the same time. Although I'm going to try to get used to it here. Okay. So I'm going to fly low and slow here. Slow means I'm still 40 to 50% power, and low means actually I'm going to try to go a little bit lower altitude than that. Just to show you that even with the trees as close as they are, you can still fly this airplane safely, we'll say 50 feet above the ground. Okay. And in beginner mode, there's a nice tight circle within the entirely within the tree line. There's a little bit of wind, but not much. If I'm looking at the flag, it's dead still. Okay. One nice thing about beginner mode, if I let go of the stick, it stays wings level. Although I'm using my throttle hand to move the camera, because the throttle doesn't need to move very much. I'm going to descend just a little bit more. Although I'm about halfway up the trees there. May not look it from the angle, but I am. I'm going to come around here and add a touch more power, fly over the center of the runway. And so you can see how now that I'm in beginner mode and flying slower, I am having to force the nose down a little bit. Okay, so I could trim some down elevator, but I don't think I will. I bumped the throttle there is what you heard. So I'm gonna, it climbed a little, I'm gonna let it come back down and add a bit of power back before I start my turn. Now you notice I'm swinging out to the right here before I start my left-hand turn. That just gives me a bit more space. So I wanted you to notice on that last turn and on this next one, I'm flying fairly slow. I'm in beginner mode, so I'm limited to like 30 degrees of bank. But still, with 30 degrees of bank, it will turn sharply, especially if I pull a little bit harder on the stick. So it's turning within, I'm going to say within 100 feet. Maybe a little bit more, a little bit less, but in that general range. You can make a 180 degree turn in about 100 feet at this slow airspeed. The faster you go, the harder it's going to make it to turn. So you want to learn how to fly with enough power to keep it in the air, but not enough power that you're going too fast that you can't turn it. So my throttle is now at 45%. Let's make sure we don't hit those buzzards down there. They must smell something. I hope it's not my airplane. Okay, so I haven't touched the throttle in quite a while. I'm on a nice stable flight path. I am going to oops, okay, got to keep moving the camera, I guess. I'm trying to, there we go. I'm trying to get the elevator trim correctly now and control the camera. I'm still holding a little bit of forward nose pressure, but after a couple more clicks, I'm sure it'll be just fine. In beginner mode, the rudder moves in coordination with the ailerons, and so you really don't have to worry about moving any rudder movements in beginner mode. In future flights, I'll show you how to do turns with the rudder only, and in intermediate and advanced mode, there is no coordinated rudder, and I'll show you how that works in future flights as well. I'm going to use the film as time to find out exactly how much time I was in the air, both before I had to go pick up the airplane and afterwards. So we shall see how much time we burn on this battery. I don't hear any beeping going on. It's nice and quiet out here. Okay. But I'm certain we'll get down to a point at which it starts beeping. Of course, if you're flying with this much, I'm sorry, move the camera too quickly. If you're flying with this much power, it's going to stay in the air 20 minutes. And this is really good practice for a beginner, just to fly straight and level for a while, do some nice gentle turns, and come on back. Again, I'm going to fly over to the center of the runway and then start my turn back so I don't get too close to the screes during this turn. The trees and the edge of the runway over there are not in the center of the field. There's about 100 and I think maybe 120 feet to where the tall grass or weeds are, and then there's at least another 150 feet from the tall grass to the tree line. Well, I just noticed that my timer stopped. I probably hit the wrong button to restart it. So the timer's just reset. So I don't know where I am on time. Tell you what I'm going to do though. On this next go around, I'm going to go ahead and land in this film, and we'll put another battery in and do it again. But probably doing some other different maneuvers. So this is mostly in beginner mode, and so we're going to do a landing in beginner mode here. I'm going to go all the way down toward the end of the runway, get my turn going. And once I roll out of the turn, right here, I'm going to pull the power back, let the nose gently come to the ground. Sometimes you have to force the nose over, and then you have to just do a simple little flare there at the end. So that's the landing. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next video.